We all remember the heroes, the ones who saved the day, that overcame the impossible odds. But who is it that really sticks with us in the long run? It's the shadows they fight, the monsters that push them to their limits. After all, who would Batman be without his rogues gallery? What would Frodo's journey be without Sauron? Writers sometimes spend so much time perfecting the hero that they forget about the villain. They almost become an afterthought, a generic obstacle for the good guys to punch around. And that is a huge mistake. I've been a reader for a very long time, used various tools on my journey to finally self-publishing my own novels. One of the lessons that I've learned over the years is that truly great villains don't just oppose the hero, they define the hero. They elevate the entire narrative. So, how do you create a villain that isn't just bad, but genuinely unforgettable? One that actively improves your story and keeps readers thinking long after they've turned the last page. In this video, I want to go into what I think are the 6 essential traits that you need to create villains that will haunt your readers. And at the end, one ingredient that a lot of writers miss, optional, but can really put that last nail in the coffin on making a great villain. So the first trait that I believe can be vital is personality. Thinking of Loki and Nurse Ratched from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Kind of opposite ends of the spectrum here. But usually great villains are very charismatic, or you just absolutely despise them. Loki, trickster god, mischievous, you almost root for him. Whereas Nurse Ratched, her just cruelty is so chilling. And the important part is that they don't just exist to be evil. They are a person. They have quirks and fears and interesting ways of interacting with the world that are uniquely them. The second trait that I think is very important is conviction. Memorable villains don't just do things for the sake of evil. They do them because they have strong desires to do them. You can think of it as Thanos believing he's saving the universe by murdering half of the people in it. Or someone like Hannibal Lecter, a serial killer that has a very twisted outlook on the world, and again, in his own way, thinks that he's doing a service to the world by what he does, removing less than pleasant people from it, in his view. These actions, their actions, stem from these deep beliefs and hunger. Even if their views, their logic is completely warped, bizarre, incomprehensible to anybody except them, it does make sense to them. And in the case of, say, Thanos, they can even almost be convincing when trying to tell other people about it, which makes it even scarier and more memorable. Again, we're talking about giving them more depth, rather than just being evil for evil's sake. Third is presence. That usually great villains command attention. This isn't always the case, but many of the best villains, the greatest, most memorable villains in history, command attention. when they come into a scene, whether reading, movie, whatever, it's like you can feel it. They have a kind of gravity that pulls the focus to them. It can be a quiet menace, or loud authority, or simply unsettling calm, maniacal energy. It isn't about screen time, it's about the psychological weight that they carry with them. It's their very existence changes the dynamic of any scene they are in. Next up is brutality. And I'm not just talking about physical violence. That happens quite often. But I think great, memorable villains are willing to do anything to achieve their goals, whatever those goals may be. It can be physical, it can be psychological. It can be attacking someone's reputation, exploiting their fears. Great villains might even have rules, but those rules are their own rules, often twisted and self-serving. They will cross lines that the heroes won't, never would, and that is one of the things that can make them very terrifying and effective as great, memorable villains. Fifth is intelligence. Now, I don't mean that every villain needs to be some kind of genius, but what I think they do need to have is the intelligence enough to know better. A villain that lacks the capacity to understand that what they're doing is wrong, I feel is far less compelling and memorable than one that knows what they're doing is wrong and doesn't care, or has somehow justified their actions in some twisted moral framework. Intelligence makes them a worthy adversary, not just some kind of blundering brute. It's the difference between a force of nature and a cunning strategist. You know, even an animal, for example, can be cunning. It doesn't mean that the intelligence has to be, you know, like a chess master. But there needs to be some kind of intelligence there, in my opinion, to make them memorable. Lastly, I think that the ultimate goal of any great villain should be to get under people's skin. Memorable villains make us feel things. A powerful villain should make the reader genuinely doubt that the heroes can win. A creepy villain should give us the chills. Truly great villains make the reader feel uncomfortable, angry, or maybe even a little bit of admiration. They evoke emotions, strong emotions sometimes, and that ensures that they linger in the reader's mind well after the book is over. Now, I posed what a potential crucial ingredient could be that many writers miss. And this is one that I think is optional, but for the right villains, it is absolutely vital, and that is vulnerability. It doesn't have to be a physical weakness, but some sort of crack in the facade of their power. A single point of failure. This could be the ring of Sauron. Could be Thanos' genuine affection for his one daughter, at least. It could be a past wound, a deeply hidden fear. It could be their hubris, obsession, their love for a single person, or maybe that one single line that they won't cross. It isn't about making them weaker. It's about giving them something a little bit more human, something that people can understand a bit more. Again, this is optional. Sometimes the best route to go with a villain is to make them not understandable, incomprehensible. You know, cosmic horror, for example. Cthulhian entities are not meant to be understood. Making them understandable would kind of break the whole point. But for many villains, making them at least a little bit more understandable helps us to understand them even if we don't condone their actions. It's like a little crack in the armor, a chink in the armor, that makes them a bit more complex and kind of scarier in a way, because we can almost see ourselves in them and their downfall. So, little recap. Villains are not just plot devices. They are the mirror that reflects the hero's light back at them, but dark. A great villain makes the hero seem even better. It makes the entire story better. So, in the comments, I want you to tell me who is your all-time favorite villain, and which of these 6 traits do you think they embody the most effectively? Let me know in the comments. And more resources that you might find helpful for writing in the description. As always, doing the YouTube stuff, share, like, subscribe is appreciated. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.